Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel with Feedback Loop Coaching, and today I'm going to be speaking about a topic that's really near and dear to my heart. And it's the topic of how to lead when you're not the designated leader. So, if you're tuning in, that says to me that you care deeply about your organization, you care about who you're working with, and you care about your designated leader. And you're showing up every day in service to the organization. You care so much about this organization that you're willing to sacrifice ego identifications, such as titles. So, we're going to dive into it. Actually, the title that I'm giving this talk, this YouTube, is borrowed from a session, a breakout session that I attended back in 2016. Back when I was in my corporate life, my company was gracious enough and invested enough in me to continue sending me to leadership conferences. And one that I had the incredible opportunity to attend multiple times was the Massachusetts Conference for Women. It's the largest conference for women in the country. And there were keynote speakers and breakout sessions. So I attended this breakout session because I started becoming more and more interested in leadership and how I can lead by presence. And my own deep dive into leadership began in 2013 when I first took the ELI assessment, the Energy Leadership Index assessment, and I saw that big bar of level 4 energy. If you've taken the assessment and you've received your results, you may know what I'm talking about. If not, no worries. What I mean by a big bar of level 4 energy is that I had a big bar or a large percentage of my energy on a typical daily basis, meaning when I'm not under stress, a lot of my energy went to being of service. It resonated in the space of compassion and concern for others. So I brought that into the workplace. That's how I showed up with loyalty. It's also the energy where loyalty resides. And I would show up with loyalty to my organization, to my boss. At the time, I was working in an organization that had 78 partners, only 5 of whom were women. And this was a commercial real estate firm in Boston. For anyone familiar with the vibe, it's the commercial real estate industry in Boston was very old school. I kind of thought of it as like the vibe was reminded me a lot of Mad Men, the TV show. And so I really wanted to lead so that I could help to evolve the culture, make it more conducive for women, more conducive for young people. And so these leadership conferences really embedded within me, encoded within me these leadership skills that set me on my journey. My passion for leadership has never waned. It's a journey I've been exploring now for over a decade. And I find that my passion for leadership sings the loudest when I'm witnessing ineffective leadership. So that's kind of what inspired today's talk is just witnessing ineffective leadership and having this burning desire to change it. And so if you're listening today, thank you. Thank you for being a part of this exchange so that I can fulfill my purpose. So I want to start by talking about the importance of service-based leadership and how personal influence, presence can drive change in any setting. Typically, our civilization is used to leaders, like really take charge leaders, leaders who rule by force and coercion. Essentially, we're used to catabolic leadership. And we are evolving into a civilization that embodies anabolic leadership. Anabolic leadership is really service based. It's focusing on what's working, it's lifting people up. So if you're someone who wants to lift people up within your organization, then this talk might resonate for you. So also a book recommendation might be Deepak Chopra's The Soul of Leadership. In The Soul of Leadership, Deepak Chopra begins by speaking about the types of leaders we're used to, the leaders on the world stage who have historically been ruthless, narcissistic, all forms of catabolic, forceful, and they've been the ones with the designated titles, kings and queens. And that's changing thanks to the leaders behind the scenes. And in this book, Deepak Chopra really reframes leadership. It's not about a title, it's about taking initiative. It's about showing up engaged. I think that a lot of times what we see is when someone does not have that leadership title and maybe don't feel that they're worthy of showing up with confidence, and therefore they show up with a lot of apathy and just try to get through the day without even really being noticed or without rocking the boat. And that's not really inspiring. It's not going to drive change through influence or presence. So we're looking to change that. And some examples I'm thinking of individuals who led without formal authority, without a formal title, community organizers or team members stepping up during challenges, regardless of their title, is bringing to mind the doctor's office that I worked in when I was a teenager. So for those of you who don't know, my very first jobs, when I was 16 years old, I began working in the doctor's office where my mom was a nurse. And at first I was organizing charts, putting them in alphabetical order back in the filing cabinets. I slowly transitioned to answering phones, which was very scary for me. I would make calls to confirm appointments. And this became my summer job. When I'd go to college, I'd come back home and work in another doctor's office, not the same one that my mom was in, but same company, same overall organization. I think, was it Hartford? It was Hartford Medical Group at the time. And when I think back to the leaders, like who inspired me, who made me excited to go to work, who inspired confidence within me, who do you think it was? It wasn't the doctors. And with the title of doctor, you would think they're the leaders. They are the ones in charge. They have the authority. Though when I think back to who really was the role model, the leader for me, so my role there was receptionist and admin. And I think back to this one receptionist. It breaks my heart that I can't remember her name. I feel like it was Christine, but I'm not sure. And she was so gentle and so kind and so helpful and so encouraging. And when I was afraid of calling the patients to confirm their appointments. I was afraid of leaving messages on their answering machines. She would sit with me and encourage me while I was making these phone calls. She always made sure I had someone to eat lunch with. I think of her. I think of her leadership, her kindness. So that brings to mind, what are some key traits that we think of when we think of today's leader? I know I think of authenticity, service, kindness, openness, compassion, empathy, confidence. Emotional intelligence is a big one. And we'll probably have a whole talk on emotional intelligence. That can be its own topic because that is a deep dive. And there's so much that goes into emotional intelligence. But that's probably the number one thing that I think of when I think of an anabolic leader. And I also think of the power of service-based leadership. I think that the way our paradigm has been perpetuating, self-perpetuating, it's been as though leaders are the ones being served. They're being served by their employees. So when I think of an organization in the old paradigm, the employees are showing up to serve the designated leader. In the new paradigm, we're changing that. The designated leader is showing up in service to their team, their stakeholders, and with that comes that emotional awareness. Feeling through the patterns, the attitudes, feeling through what the organization is perpetuating or creating. When I think of those two terms, perpetuating and creating, I think of perpetuating as unconscious. Maybe we're not aware and we're just continuing sets of patterns that were passed down to us. When I think of creating, I think of consciously choosing how we want these patterns to unfold. And so we're creating the new paradigm now together. And we're creating this new definition of leadership. In my opinion, great leaders serve. And they act in ways that uplift their teams, uplift their organizations. And the focus is on meaningful contributions. So maybe the question we ask ourselves when we're not the designated leaders is, how can I contribute? Some of these points that I'm sharing are directly from that breakout session that I attended. The breakout session that was called How to Lead When You're Not the Designated Leader. I have just a couple notes in my phone from that session. I wish I had more. So I remember specifically that the point that great leaders serve. They really drilled that point home. They also shared that great leaders empower others instead of enabling them and instead of coddling them. So rather than solving problems for people or even, I guess, commiserating when there is a problem, an empowered leader, a great leader will guide their teammates to find their own solutions and lead by example. Maybe the solution is something that, you're not really solving the problem for them, but you're picking up the slack. And that's something that, it might be frustrating when you don't have this title of designated leader and nobody knows that you actually are leading based on title. So my invitation to you is to find fulfillment another way. Find fulfillment in picking up the slack. Again, I began this by saying that if you're tuning in today, it means, at least it says to me, that you deeply care about your organization. So when you deeply care about your organization and the success of your organization, let me ask you, how much does it really matter that those moments when you pick up the slack, when you take action where you see action needs to be taken, even though nobody assigned it, even though you're not going to get credit for it, even though you might not receive recognition for it, how can you find fulfillment in that and recognize yourself for that? And that's another thing we're going to get to is confidence. So this is another point that these speakers made in that breakout session that's inspiring. This is building confidence as a leader. An empowering and inspiring leader shows up with confidence. And it's my belief that confidence is cultivated. It's not necessarily innate. I think that there's a limiting belief that has kept our paradigm self-perpetuating, that you're either born with confidence or you're not. You're either born a leader or you're not. And I reject that. I can speak from experience. I don't think I was born with this innate sense of leadership or confidence. It's something that through working with my coach, I cultivated. I again, going back to that big bar of level 4 energy that I saw in my ELI assessment results, when I saw that and I saw that I'm uniquely geared toward service, that's when it hit me, whoa, I'm a leader. And then it became time for me to start cultivating that confidence. That was the moment that I gave myself permission to lead by presence. And so there are a few ways we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about 3 pillars of confidence right now. The first is experience success. Now, if you are a part of our local community and you've been to Cacao Circle with me, or if you've worked with me as a client, if I've been your coach, you know how much I love celebrating the wins, no matter how big or small. And you know that, sometimes I'll be working with the clients and they'll just sort of be telling their story and kind of skip over a big moment. And I'll backtrack and I'll be like, wait a minute, did I just hear you say that you did this? And it'll be something, maybe it's something they were afraid of doing and they did it and they're just on to the next thing, and I'll slow them down. I'm like, wait a minute, you were afraid of this last week. This week you're telling me that it's already done. You achieved it. You accomplished it. And I will set the time to celebrate that win, that victory. And that, I've seen it. It builds confidence. So please take the time to celebrate the small wins. If you're local to Central Mass, come to Cacao Circle. We celebrate all of our wins there. This isn't one of the pillars we're talking about right now, but also community. Community can be a great way to cultivate confidence. So maybe if you can see your organization as your community and express in ways that not only uplift your community, but uplift you as well, that builds confidence. Okay, the second pillar, this was also offered at the workshop I attended. Positive role models. Surround yourself with positive role models. Be selective about the people you surround yourself with. Choose role models who genuinely support your growth. Something I'll never forget, at one of these leadership conferences for women, one of the keynote speakers said to all of us, it's a huge conference, we all heard it, and it stuck with me. She said, women are over mentored and under championed. And that hit me. Oh my gosh. I looked around and I was like, wait a minute. Mentor. Who's championing me? Who's advocating for me? Who's saying to upper management, this young woman has potential. She's a leader. We need to advocate for her to be in a more advanced position. We need to advocate for her to be speaking, to be expressing, to be using her creative talents in this organization. And I looked around and I was surrounded by mentors. And so be selective about who you consider a role model. Make sure that they've been where you want to go. I'll never forget, a friend said to me once when I was ruminating over comments and chirps and things people have said that got stuck in my head that were diminishing my confidence and really creating an unhealthy psychological atmosphere. She said to me, why are you listening to people who haven't been where you want to go? And when she said that psychological madness just went silent. And I looked around in my mind's eye at the people who were throwing these chirps, putting me down, planting seeds of doubt. I looked at them and I said, they haven't been where I want to go. Why am I listening to them? And I stopped. I just stopped. So I want to offer that to you. Anyone who has been where you want to go knows the journey. They know what it's like to overcome the challenges that you're facing and will face in the future. And therefore, they're going to be so supportive of you. So surround yourself with those positive, supportive, encouraging, inspiring role models who have achieved what you hope to achieve and what you will achieve. And then another way to build confidence, this is also from this workshop, is to create a positive self-appraisal, positive self-assessment, positive self-narrative. As we talked about earlier, picking up the slack, taking action, engaging where you see something needs to be done, and maybe your teammate who's assigned to that isn't doing it, and maybe you're not going to get that recognition that you deserve. Create it for yourself. Internal validation can go such a long way when you are leading by example, especially when you're not the designated leader. There are no metrics, there's no real way to quantify that sort of underground secret leadership role. Though you take assessment, you self-appraise, and remind yourself why you're doing it. Remind yourself you care about the company, you care about the organization, and take moments to savor your influence. Even if nobody else notices it, you notice. That, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. And at the end of the day, your confidence will speak volumes. I know that there's a balance between leading in the way that I'm speaking about and receiving the recognition you deserve and pay you deserve. And that's up to you to discern. If you're not getting the pay that you deserve, if you're really not getting the recognition you deserve, keep that confidence high, and that confidence will lead you. If it's time to exit your organization for greener pastures, if it's time to go off and do your own thing, like I eventually left and decided to become an entrepreneur, that's up to you. And your confidence will be your compass. You can do it because you've been creating this deep well of inner appraisal and internal validation. Internal validation can lead you to the highest heights. And then one more thing when it comes to confidence. This is something that was shared at the breakout session as well. They said the more dramatic you are, the less access you'll have to confidence. That was one that stuck with me. I sat with it, I thought about it, and I also want to include, the more negative you are, the less access you'll have to confidence. And the more dramatic you are, the less people will see you as someone who's capable of leading. Leaders are calm, cool, collected. They lead with a clear mindset. So when you are showing up with a calm demeanor, a clear mind, others will trust you and feel compelled to follow your lead. That may even happen within your organization. You may find that others are coming to you and not the designated leader. And this kind of brings me into the next point, which is emotional intelligence in leadership. So I want to offer this. Override primal instincts. So our primal instincts are really set to, we want to be accepted by the tribe. We need the tribe to survive. If we get kicked out of the tribe, will surely perish. So our primal instincts tell us, fit in, people please, fawn, do whatever you got to do to stay in the tribe. And that can lead to catabolic patterns in the workplace or within your organization. This could also be within your family. And one of the key traits that there's catabolic energy within an organization is that gossip is present. Gossip, reactive behavior, unmanaged emotions, all of these undermine your leadership potential, and they undermine the designated leader. I know you don't want to do that. I know you don't want to undermine your designated leader. I know that the success of your organization depends on their ability to thrive and root down strong and rise high and wide. And something like gossip can really undermine and deteriorate the authority of the designated leader. I know you don't want to do that. So what happens when you witness that gossip is present, or people are throwing out chirps about the designated leader or mocking their behavior or their patterns, and you're there, you're present? Hit the sacred pause button. Don't engage in the gossip. You can remain stoic. You can say nothing. Saying nothing and remaining stoic will make a statement. You can also defend or advocate for the designated leader. You can say, hey, they have a lot on their shoulders. And that's why we're here, to be a supportive team. You can say that. That'll shut up the gossip. That'll shut up the negativity. And then maybe the tribe will go off and gossip about you, but who cares? Your integrity shines. I get passionate about this. This I get fired up. Thanks. Don't gossip about your leader. You're there to lift your leader up. Lifting your designated leader up is a sign of your leadership. And it'll make others think, maybe, we don't want anybody overthinking, though maybe if you're stoic in those moments, if you don't engage in the gossip, if you resist, if you challenge the narrative of gossip in your organization, it might make the gossiper self-conscious, which, we don't want that on the whole, but maybe in that moment it's healthy. Maybe a little self-consciousness, it'll get them thinking like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have been gossiping, and maybe they won't do it again. So yeah, just in those moments, feel free to hit the sacred pause button. You don't have to engage. Stay curious rather than judgmental. Maybe in some of those moments, you can even say, okay, so you're pointing out these inefficiencies within leadership. Where can you step up? Maybe you can ask yourself that. Maybe you can ask your teammates that. Where can you step up? Think before you act. I feel like this is something that our parents told us when we were young. Think before you act. Think before you speak. Take a moment. Check in with the heart. Are you speaking from fear? Are you speaking from love? Simple, right? Though it's hard in the moment to really check in. Make sure that your integrity is speaking for you. And then we've spoken about this already a bit, but leading with action. It's nice to gaze out at your organization and see where action could be taken, see where there are inefficiencies, and maybe it feels good to know, like, oh, I know better. I know what could be improved. Great. Where's the action? Take initiative. Leadership is about taking action. It's about uniting intention with action. Uniting ideas with action. Leadership is also about staying present. Like when you are present for whatever arises, especially, presence typically is available when you're calm, cool, collected. You're an amazing problem solver. And people come to you with their problems. And maybe you don't solve it for them, though you can brainstorm, you can project share, you can cultivate a sense of fun for the brainstorm. You can bring some curiosity into it. You can evaluate from a positive place. You can objectively evaluate and then notice what can be improved, and notice that with enthusiasm. When you notice that something can be improved, we have options of what our attitude might be. If we're apathetic, maybe it's, oh, well, so let's talk about the energy levels. This is how I perceive the world. I'm uniquely passionate about the lens of quantum physics and timeline hopping from attitude to attitude. So let's run this through the lens of the seven levels of energy. Or maybe we'll just go to 6, because level 7, we'll get there. But so level 1, right? Let's say we see inefficiencies. We see that maybe there are protocols that are established and people are just not following along with them. They're not doing them. And in your heart, you know why the protocols are established the way they are. And in your heart of hearts, you would love to see them. You would love to see your organization following through, and it's not happening. Level 1, you would be apathetic, be like, oh, well, whatever. It's never going to work. I'll just get through the day, keep my head down, get my paycheck. I'm not the leader. Who cares? Level 2. I'm so sick of these people. Why doesn't anybody see what I see? Am I the only one? Do I have to do everything around here? If I want something done well, I have to do it myself. Very common. I've I'm no stranger to that one. Level 3. Oh well, I guess these protocols aren't happening the way that they should, but these are my teammates. I guess I can work with them and figure things out. So just kind of rationalizing, justifying. Level 4. It'd be concern, compassion. So maybe first it's compassion for your teammates. Maybe my teammates don't feel empowered to take action, to follow these protocols. Maybe I'll help them. Or it might be service. So the result of level 4. So for every level, there's the core thought, core feeling, and then core action. The core thought of level 4 is concern. So if things aren't happening, if people aren't following along with the guidelines that would make your organization run at its optimal peak performance, how would level 4 look and feel? Maybe, I'm concerned for our organization. And then you'd probably just jump in and do what needs to be done, taking on probably a larger workload than you need to. But it's because you know you can handle it, and you want what's best for the team. You want what's best for the organization. Level 5. So level 5 is a win-win. What's the opportunity here? That's maybe when you would act with confidence, be like, all right, just want to point out to the team, I think it's so great we have these protocols, and I'm curious, why do we think that they're not happening? What's going on here? No judgment, just what's going on? Just pure curiosity, and where do we want to go from here? How can we start implementing them? Maybe there's something with the protocols that's just not resonating with the team. Maybe we can reevaluate. So that'd be a level 5 approach. Level 6 would be full of joy, enthusiasm. Hey team, all hands on deck. Who wants to get together and make sure all these protocols, all these guidelines are met? Let's get to it. Let's go. So that'd be level 6. So I highly recommend level 5, actually. I think, and 6, of course. Love level 6, but level 5, some of the strongest, most empowering and empowered and inspiring leaders lead from that level 5. Hey, what's going on here? So leading with action. I'm not sure if I already shared this, but this is something that was shared in the breakout session I attended. They said that the day people stop bringing you their problems is the day you stop leading. So just notice, are people coming to you rather than the designated leader? If so, okay. Take that and savor that as a sign of your leadership. Maybe they're not going to the designated leader because the designated leader is emanating or oozing out catabolic energy. Maybe their stress shows up into the room before they even do, and everybody kind of walks on eggshells around them. I remember when I was in corporate, a lot of the designated leaders kind of had that air of stress. It's like, who is it? Was it Linus and Charlie Brown who had who was the kid who had the dirt, ball around him.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
And he was like,
Y'all was dirty.
yeah, it's kind of sad now that I think about it.
I think it was Linus.
Line
You had
it.
the blanket.
Yeah. No, he did. Did he have a blanket?
Mhm.
Well,
I'm your off-screen fact check stuff.
thanks, fact checker.
One day we'll be able to
Yeah,
put the photo up.
when we get good at YouTube, we'll have the kid appear, and he has kind of that like dust.
Oh,
Yeah,
found it.
he has like the dust storm around him.
Yeah.
So the maybe the designated leader in your organization shows up as kind of like a dust storm of stress and chaos.
Pigpen.
Pigpen, yes. Maybe they're like Pigpen with stress just swirling around them, and so your teammates don't want to approach them. That is so common. That's kind of the scene that I observed in my corporate experience, and that's when I realized, oh my gosh, my level 4 energy, I can take on all the problems and solve all the problems, which, you know, I level 5 maybe would have been more empowering. And I do remember there was like an era, like a window of time where that level 4 did click into level 5. And I remember being able to delegate with confidence and enthusiasm and bringing joy to that. And so, yeah, you know if you are leading because people are coming to you with their problems. So savor that, take that in, use that, put that in your internal validation bank. Okay. Anything else coming up? Let's see. Um, I think that I'll wrap it up. I'll wrap it up there. That's a lot of what I can remember from both just my own experience and the breakout session that I attended. That wonderful, I think it was December, by early December 2016, Women's Leadership Conference. I took so much out of it. And I went back to work all confident in my leadership. And so, as much as I talk about the catabolic energy at my former company, I am so grateful. I would not be in the position I am today without that company. I would not have uncovered my passion for leadership without that company. So just bringing it all together, you are now leading without the title. You don't need the title. And you're leading because you're valuing others, you're valuing your team, you are lifting them up, you're reminding them that they can do it. You're serving in meaningful ways, you're building your confidence, you're building the confidence of others around you. You are choosing your role models wisely. You're taking initiative. You are seeing when to act and engaging in those moments. You're uniting intention and vision with action. You're hands-on. You are, when you're seeing that something needs to be done and maybe the people assigned to it aren't doing it, you're happy to take it on. And you're savoring, you're building your internal validation bank. And if one day that bank's overflowing and your title and pay is not reflecting your internal bank, you have all the confidence in the world to try something else or to speak up for yourself, advocate for yourself. So just a closing reflection as you think about your organization, whether it's your company, your family, your small business, your community. What's one way you can start leading today? Even in a small way. You know, leadership is a daily practice. It's a journey. It's not a destination. So, thank you for joining me on this leadership journey, leading when you're not the designated leader. Big thanks to whoever gave that talk, that breakout session at that conference that I attended. It's what, how many years later? 8 years later, and I'm still talking about it. So, clearly a topic that's near and dear to my heart. So thank you for watching. If this resonates with you, please like. I think there's like a like button, a thumbs up, yeah. Hit the thumbs up button, comment, and share your thoughts below if you find this helpful. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to respond in the comments. And let us know what's one leadership trait that you're working on. Let us know. Also, you can reach out if you're interested in taking the ELI assessment. If you hear me talking about this big bar of level 4 energy and you're wondering if you have one too, feel free to reach out. We'll hook you up with an ELI assessment and a debrief with either myself or Chris. And yeah, make sure to subscribe for more inspiration, more talks on leadership, more ways to fill your inner bank. Thank you.